Hey, I'm Stuart, founder of DMARC Defender, and in this video we're going to be setting up SPF, DKIM, and DMARC with a custom domain inside Microsoft 365. So for the rest of this video, first we're going to verify what records you already have installed. Then we're going to go through the process of verifying and installing SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. And then lastly, we're going to verify again to make sure everything was installed correctly, and then I'll cover some of the common mistakes I've seen. So first, let's go to the domain check tool to see what you already have installed. So I'll put a link to this in the description, but this is a domain check tool. For this video, I bought a domain, dmarcdemo.com. We can see the results here. There is no DMARC here, so we can see no DMARC record was found. It did find an SPF record. When you install your custom domain within Microsoft 365, it will have you install SPF. It's possible this has been missing or modified or something like that, in which case I'll show you how to edit it and re-add it back, because you do need this. But most chances are high that you already have this installed. And then at the bottom, if you don't know who your DNS provider is, it'll tell you here. We can see I'm using GoDaddy. So when I need to make changes to my DNS, I need to go to the GoDaddy panel. So the first record we're going to install is SPF. For SPF to be installed correctly with Microsoft 365, it needs to include this statement. This is the include mechanism, so it says include SPF protection outlook.com. So the record type will be a text record on your domain. Again, it'll be that string, and a TTL of about an hour is good. So to make sure this is, if I need to edit it or if I need to add a new record, I'm going to go to my DNS provider dashboard. So this is GoDaddy. Like I said, I just bought this domain and hooked it up with Microsoft. I'm going to go to domains. I'm going to go to DNS. I'm going to select on DMARC demo. If I had multiple, they would show up, but I only have this one. And I'm going to scroll down until I find my SPF record. And so it is a type text. It is on the root, and we can see it's right here. So v equals SPF1, include that statement. So if you don't have an SPF record, so if the domain check tool said it was empty and you go into your DNS provider and you see that it's empty, you're going to have to create a new record. So to do that, you would just go create a new record. It is of type text. We're putting it on the rooted domain, so this is going to either be empty or an @ symbol, depending on your DNS provider, and then it's that v equals SPF1, and then the rest. If you already have an SPF record, do not add another one. That is not what you want. You only want to have one SPF record. If you have an SPF record and it doesn't include the include SPF protection outlook.com, you need to add that. And so you're just going to copy and paste or just type it out manually, this specific include. It's possible you'll have other include statements here or like things like IPv4 and IP addresses and stuff like that. That's all fine. We just need to make sure we also have this include statement. And once that's done, you are all set with SPF, and we can move on to DKIM. Next up is installing DKIM. So we're going to get the specific records that we're going to put in our DNS directly from Microsoft. So we can go to this URL. We can see the domain is here. Let me make this bigger. We have the domain here. Maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller. We'll click on it. It says no DKIM keys saved for this domain, so we're going to create DKIM keys. And once it loads, it'll tell us what we need to install. So we can see here, this is our first key name, and we want to make sure that it points to this using a CNAME record. So we're going to do that. So we're going to copy this, selector 1. We're going to go back to our DNS provider. So for me, this is GoDaddy. I'm going to create add new record. And you only need to do this if you don't have DKIM installed. If you already have DKIM installed and you saw the selector 1, selector 2, you're all set. You can skip it. As we go through it, we can see I don't have that selector 1, selector 2 records. They would exist here. So I need to install them. They said create a CNAME record. We're doing the selector 1 domain key, and it gave us this value. Selector 1, dmarcdemo.com, domain key, blah, blah, blah. So we'll do that. We can do a TTL, we'll just do 1 hour. You can do half an hour, it doesn't really matter. But this is our first CNAME, so we'll save that. While it's updating, we're going to go copy the next one. So we're going to create another CNAME. Add new record. Oh, it's down here. We're creating another CNAME with that domain selector. Copy this. And we'll do 1 hour, and we'll hit save. Cool, and we can scroll down to make sure they were installed correctly, and we can see, yep, we have selector 1, domain key, selector 2, domain key. Oh, we can see I made a mistake here. I'm missing the S on selector. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Oh, yep, already made a mistake. So let's go back, change that to selector 2. Selector 2, and we should be set. Those look good. We copied, and now we're going to hit enable. I'm pretty sure this will check to verify that the keys were installed correctly. It says that they were not installed. I think we're just going to have to wait a couple of minutes. So I'll pause the video and we'll check back in a minute. All right, let's check it again. Cool, so it looks like everything is set up. Messages are being signed with those DKIM keys, and it validated that they exist and they're correct. And last is DMARC. So for DMARC, we're going to be creating a text record. It's going to exist at _DMARC at your domain, and it's going to have a value that kind of looks like this. It's possible you already have a DMARC record. If you do, you're all set. If you don't, you can create something like this. It says v equals DMARC1. We're setting the policy equals to none. So this means even if an email is not authenticated, don't do anything. You can set this to quarantine or reject, but you need to make sure that all of your email senders are properly configured before you do that. Otherwise, your emails will be blocked. It keeps out the bad guys, but if it's not configured properly, it also keeps out the good guys. And I would also highly recommend setting up a reporting address. So what this will do is whenever like Google, Yahoo, or Microsoft, whoever receives emails coming from your domain, it's going to collect those and aggregate those and send reports to whatever email address you put here. They're XML reports, they're convoluted. You don't have to go through them. I just recommend setting it up now. So if there's an issue in the future, you have these reports and you can put them into like a report analyzer and it'll tell you what's misconfigured and what you need to fix. And then again, for the TTL, we'll just put 3,600 seconds. So to see what this looks like, I'm going to create a new record since I don't have one for this domain. I'm going to create a text record. Like we said, it was _DMARC. For this, we did v equals DMARC1, and we said policy equals none, and we'll do a reporting address of Stuart@dmarcdemo.com, and we'll set the TTL to 1 hour. So I think that looks good. V equals DMARC, P equals none. Report aggregation goes to Stuart. And you have to, don't forget this mail too, Stuart@dmarcdemo.com. I'll put this actual text below so you can just copy and paste it, but make sure you put in your own email address, or you can use a group email address or something that can collect these reports. And then in the future, if you need them, you have them there. Cool, we'll hit save. Cool, at this point, we should be all done. So we can verify that everything was set up correctly using that tool, the domain check tool. So we were dmarcdemo.com. Cool, so weak DMARC policy, I'll talk about that in a second, but we can see our DMARC record is there. V equals DMARC1, P equals none. There's no issues with it. These are what all the fields are. You can read them if you're interested. We can see our SPF record was found, so that's set up correctly. And specifically, we have the SPF protection outlook.com. So our return paths are being validated. We'll talk about the SPF lookup tree in a second, and then we can see the DKIM keys we installed, selector 1 and selector 2, were both found and they look valid. So at this point, your Microsoft 365 custom domain is set up with DKIM, DMARC, and SPF. There are some common mistakes I've seen a couple of times. Probably the more common mistake I sometimes see people make is they'll type in the domain name in the domain field when installing the domain within their DNS provider. So what I mean is we had to do selector1.domain key. They'll also type in dmarcdemo.com so that dmarcdemo.com gets like copied twice. To show what this looks like, so you can imagine I was creating that DKIM record, or it could be any of the records, but we were creating a CNAME, I think, and it was selector this one. For here, you only want to type in the beginning of the domain. And this is going to depend on your DNS provider, but for the most part, it is the subdomain that you're typing in. You don't want to type in dmarcdemo.com. Otherwise, like I said, it's going to create that record. And so the full domain gets expanded, or it adds an extra dmarcdemo.com onto the end. So if the domain check tool doesn't find your DKIM key, check to see if it looks like this. So it'll be like a very long domain, which won't be correct. The other thing I just saw this last weekend, is someone put a space in front of their SPF record. So this could happen with any of the records, but you got to make sure there's no white space before the records. It needs to start with v equals SPF1 or v equals DMARC1 to be a valid record. Another bad one is if you have multiple DMARC or multiple SPF records, that's not good. You should only have one of those. The tool will check to make sure you don't have multiple ones, but if you're not using the tool, definitely make sure you only have one DMARC or one SPF record, otherwise it will break. The SPF 10 lookup limit, this one's a little bit more complicated, but the way SPF works is you're only allowed to have 10 lookups in your SPF policy, and this is to prevent denial of service and other recursive lookups and such. But if you have a long SPF record, you need to make sure that you're not going over the 10 lookup limit. So I put it on the SPF lookup tree here on the tool. You can see that this only has one lookup. But if you were, at 10 already, and then you added this SPF protection outlook and you went to 11, your SPF policy would no longer be valid, and the very last term would not be included when doing SPF lookups. If that's the case, there are tools to fix this. Ideally, you would just find old services that aren't being used anymore and remove those. You can also move to subdomains and kind of spread your SPF lookups around. And if those don't work, there is SPF flattening. This is a solution that DMARC Defender offers. There's more information on the website about that. And you can also use macros to kind of do dynamic lookups. But for most people, this shouldn't be the issue. But if you see 11 here or a number greater than 10, that's something you need to look at immediately. And lastly, this is mostly just a recommendation, but if email is critical to your business, I highly recommend putting up a more robust reporting solution in place. So when we set up DMARC, we just put in a personal email here to start aggregating and collecting those reports, and then you can archive them and look at them later. But there are services such as the company I'm the founder of, DMARC Defender. What we do is you put in our email address here, and this goes to an automated tool that aggregates and analyzes all of these reports for you, and it'll let you know anytime if there's a misconfiguration. It'll alert you if there is a spike in bounced emails. So if a bunch of things are failing authentication, it'll let you know that something needs to be configured, and it'll tell you exactly what needs to be configured. And it'll also let you know how much email is being sent, what senders are using your email address, and stuff like that. So it's not necessary to install. You don't have to look at these reports, but like I said, if email is critical to your business, I'd highly recommend just having some sort of reporting or someone watching over, making sure your emails are actually being delivered and they're set up correctly. Anyways, thank you for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave it down below. I do DMARC all day, so I'm happy to help in any way I can. Cheers.